Hello, I'm Shad. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you've been following my channel, you'll know that I had knee replacement surgery 12 days ago now. Doesn't seem like that long ago, and I'm walking without assistance, or should I say, limping without assistance. Um, what I wanted to talk about today was this purchase I made back here, probably early fall. That's a Surly Lowside. Take a quick peek at it. So this is the 27.5 Plus model. They also make this in 26 Plus. Or you can buy frame and fork and build it however you want. The website actually shows quite a few ways you can configure it. If you wanted to put a fork on there, suspension fork, 100 mil or whatever, it would actually be set up pretty good as a dirt jumper. So kind of a lot of options. You can even throw gears on it if you wanted to. So I first saw this bike a little over a year ago on the Surly website. Now on the Surly website they had this cool video of a guy riding, doing stairs and just a bunch of urban stuff, and just kind of a really cool video. But I was not very interested in the bike, and the reason for that is because SE Racing, or SE Bikes now, I think SE Racing was what they were called back in the BMX days. But anyway, they make some 29ers and they make some 27.5 plus. And in case you don't know, when you go 27.5 plus, you're pretty much at a 29er outside diameter, so they ride similar. And those bikes ride like pigs. Like, I rode a couple of those bikes and I just did not like them. Like, pulling up the front end was really tough. Bunny hopping them was a big challenge. And so I kind of thought, oh, this bike, kind of looking at it, looking at the geometry, I thought it'd be very similar to those. But what happened is late summer, early fall, Salsa and Surly, and if you don't know, they're owned by Quality Bicycle Products, so they kind of are the same, owned by the same parent company anyway. They had a demo at a trail near my house called Theodore Worth, which is a really cool single track trail and not a ton of hills. It's got some hills in some parts of it, but pretty sweet place, especially for single speed. And so they had a demo, and I went there to actually ride a Salsa because I've been shopping for a new full suspension bike. And I saw this, not this exact bike, but this size in the 27.5 Plus model at the Surly booth, and I was like, holy crap, I need to ride that so I can see what it's like. So that was the first bike I checked out and rode, and I went and rode the Theodore Worth Trail, what's called the North Loop, which is a more flatter loop but really tight and twisty, fun trails. Great single speed trail. And I just instantly fell in love with this bike. It wasn't what I expected. The front end comes up relatively easily. I mean, obviously not as easy as a 20-inch or something like that, but pretty good geometry and handled really nice. And I used to single speed all the time, so this brought my passion back for single speeding. So I ended up riding this bike almost every time I went out in the fall before I went in for my knee surgery and the snow came. I think I rode my full suspension bike one time. So after I rode this, I went and rode the Salsa Rustler, which, pretty sweet bike, but don't know if it has enough travel for what I want. But back to this bike, I did purchase it and I rode it, and I've been stoked on it ever since. I'll show you some upgrades I've done and kind of what I'm going to do in the future and what I plan to do for 2020. I actually upgraded the crank set on here. The crank that came on here was NX OEM crank, which actually has a solid spindle, not a hollow spindle, and just much heavier, and just not the NX crank you see that generally has the hollow spindle and a nicer setup. So I put this race face turbine on here, a lot lighter. I love these cranks. I also have these on my Heller full suspension bike. Just some BMX pedals that I like. Then I went and upgraded the saddle to my size, which is 150 millimeter. You just measure your sit bones and then figure out what seat width you have. The one that was on here was a little too narrow. And then tires, I actually made them tubeless, so it was tubeless compatible. It didn't have the tape on the rim, so I put the tape on myself and turned this tubeless. You just get a much quicker acceleration and a little snappier, and you can run lower pressure. Stock brakes, I'll probably upgrade these. I might do some TRP spikes, or I might go hydraulic. I haven't decided yet. But the one upgrade that this bike really needs, it doesn't have a dropper post. And I need a dropper post for this bike because this bike's going to get some air. And so I ordered a P&W dropper post for this. It should come in a few days, and this bike is dropper post compatible, as you can see the cutout right here. So I've been very curious about those P&W posts. I see them online all the time. Not like a common name brand that I'm familiar with, but I've heard some good things about them. So I ordered the highest end one. I forget the name of it, but I will be installing that. I'll probably show you the install while I do it. So that's going to be a significant upgrade for this bike and allow me to thrash around a little bit more. The bars are really wide. I can't remember what their width is, but I might cut like a ½ inch or so off of these, maybe an inch. We'll see. I don't want to cut them too short and then regret it, so we'll see. That's kind of what I have planned for 2020, and I plan to do some GoPro footage with this bike and video and just having fun with it. And I might even go do like a street session, thrashing around town, do a couple of those sessions, and just get some cool video. So that's it for now. The Surly Lowside, if anybody's curious about this bike, keep following my channel. I will be updating about this bike often. It's one of my favorite recent purchases and has brought my passion for single speeding back. I also am going to be shopping for new full suspension bike. I want one with more travel. My current bike, the Heller, is 140 up front, 130 in the rear, and I want a bike that's more in the 150, 160 range. There are some trails now, ski hills, putting in trails. Spirit Mountain up in Duluth. Welch Village has a lift access mountain biking now, and that trend is just going to continue. And plus I plan to go out west and stuff, so I want a bike with a little bit more travel, a little bit more enduro focused for the downhill stuff, and so I can do some of the bigger drops and stuff that I'm a little afraid to try on my Heller. I'm not too worried about the skill side of it. I'm worried about whether or not the bike can handle it, because some of the drops you see are pretty big. There's one up in Copper Harbor that I'm afraid to take on, is it called Overflow or something? I don't know. It's one of their trails that you get dropped off at when you do the shuttling. God, sometimes my brain is failing. Anyway, I know the quality of this video is kind of sketch. I just threw some lighting up and whatever. I don't really have my area set up to film right now. I have some roommates and there's a lot of junk in the basement, so it's really messy. But I did just want to do a quick video on this bike, and sorry for the poor quality. Thanks for watching.